Greetings and konnichiwa, and welcome to the Onyx Tavern. I'm your host, Rick the Barkeep, bringing you episode 130 here at the Tavern, presented by Hirotaku.com. Well, patrons of the Tavern, I have to apologize first off because we are kind of retreading old topics here today because we are talking about Ranger Keys. And yes, I did cover Ranger Keys extensively in episode 112, but since that episode has come out, we've actually gotten new releases of Ranger Keys, or to be more specific, announcements of Ranger Keys, which you can now go ahead and pre order. Specifically, we have the new Lost Edition Ranger Key set, and we have the Rainbow Edition Ranger Key set. And while the release of Ranger Keys is just awesome in my mind, the keys that are now being released, I have a few issues with them. Not that I don't like them, but I really have some questions about them, things that I find problematic. Um, and just, I want to get all those thoughts out there with you guys that I didn't get an opportunity to really talk about in the previous episode because, again, they did not exist. Because it makes me concerned about where we're moving forward for Ranger Key sets. So, let's talk about, again, let's just kind of reiterate Ranger Keys in general. I mean, first of all, I think they're a great idea. There's nothing wrong with them in and of themselves. I mean, they had the 35 Sentai Ranger teams first. You all got the keys of them. Those were great. Yes, they had the candy toys and the gashapons, but I already covered that before. But the fact of the matter is they released every Sentai Ranger team. And then ever since Gokaiger ended, we're actually getting new Ranger keys. We ended up getting a Go Buster set. We ended up getting a Kyoryuger set. Now we're getting a Tokyuger set. And it seems entirely likely that we will one day get a Ninja set. A 40th Sentai set, whatever that one's going to be. Most likely, it sounds like it's going to be another Animal Sentai, if you believe the copyright notice on the internet. And of course, every team after that, because Ranger Keys, I mean, they seem to be really inexpensive to make. They're really popular, they serve a function, and you can continue to reuse your morphing device years and years after the series ended. I mean, honestly, the Ranger Keys are one of the most ingenious collectible devices that I think they've ever come up with in Sentai. And that's a good thing. I mean, I love the Ranger Keys. I'm not going to say they should stop making them or we're getting too many of them. But what I will say is, I don't necessarily understand the ones we're getting, why we feel the need to make these keys, because what it sounds like they're doing is that they're just making Ranger keys to make Ranger keys, but not necessarily making the Ranger keys that the fans want. So let's go over what has been announced, what's going to be released, and all those good things by these sets. And then I will kind of wrap this all together so I can get you guys to understand what I'm talking about here. So, the first set that's being released is the Lost Edition. Now, essentially, the Lost Edition is for Ranger keys, or for Rangers that only appeared once, either in a movie, a V-Cinema special, a single episode, or in one case, a particular flashback. So what we have here in the Lost Edition is that we have the Dobutsu, and I hope I said that right, Sentai Go Busters keys. Now, those are the alternate dimension Go Busters that were in the Go Buster versus Go Buster movie. So, what would the world be like without Messiah? Well, we got an 80s style Go Buster team, which has black visors yet still has leather. And they're coming out with the Red Cheetah, Blue Gorilla, Yellow Rabbit, Gold Beetle, Silver Stag, Green Hippopotamus, and Black Puma keys. So, we get all 7 keys from that particular movie. Now, nothing entirely wrong with these keys. This set is dominated by these keys. There's 12 keys, and 7 of them are from this one particular movie. But they're alternate dimension. They're different Rangers. I mean, we get the Green Hippopotamus key, which I think in and of itself is kind of worth it, just because it's a green hippo. I mean, why not, right? And so that's fine. No real issue there. We get the X1 mask key from Mask Man, the prototype 6 Ranger. We get Dika Bright, Dika Gold, who also appeared single times within Dika Ranger. We are getting the release of the Gosei Green key, so we finally get to find out what Gosei Green's, I guess, spirit animal was and what he looked like. It is listed as a secret key, so we don't know what it looks like, but we know who it's going to belong to. And then for some reason, we have Hurricane Dark, who I have not seen the Hurricane Drew 10 years after special, but it's essentially a ranger that they made up for that particular movie. And what kind of bothers me about that key in particular is that, yes, it does appear within a singular movie, but we don't take this opportunity to do another ranger or another character who appeared in a singular movie. Why are we getting Hurricane Dark exactly, as opposed to maybe the I can't remember the name, but from Bioman, the other kind of sixth warrior before X1 Mask, I forget his name. Why aren't we getting him in this? Why are we not getting the Beast Demon Hunter, both the male and female forms that we saw from Go-Go 5? It seems kind of odd to me that they would dedicate a key to this character who's in a 10-year after special, who's not even a real ranger. It's my understanding this is a corrupt version of Hurricane Red. So it's not even a real ranger, he just kind of takes on a different kind of persona, it seems. Don't quote me on that. I haven't seen it because I haven't seen Hurricane Ranger, and it's not right to see the 10-year after special if you haven't seen the entire series. And I think that's kind of a stumbling block in this set, but the fact is, this set is releasing keys that would not normally be released. I mean, if you go back to the original Gokaiger set, did you guys really think we'd get an X1 Mask key? I mean, he didn't appear in the Legendary War, and of course, the prerequisite, they had to appear in the Legendary War. But for some reason, we didn't get that key. We didn't get Gosei Green. We didn't get Dika Gold, Dika Bright, who should have been there. And I think having this whole new Sentai team, alternate reality Go Busters, that's a creative idea, so I really have no issue there. Overall, the Lost Edition key set is fine. It just one key in there seems to be kind of an issue, and there are others that I think are more deserving of an actual release of a key. Now, of course, this gets into debates of what is a ranger and what is not a ranger, which is definitely a topic for another time. But again, it just seems kind of odd that, again, this one key, but the others seem perfectly fine. But then we move on to today's announcement of the Rainbow Edition, which, as the name suggests, is the ToQger key set. Now, here's where it gets really odd. In addition to having the actual ToQger keys, the basic keys, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus the Purple Ranger we get from the epilogue movie, we are getting the what appears to be a rainbow-colored Tokyo one, a black version of the same kind, and I suppose they're going to come up in future episodes that I have not seen yet for the vlog series. But then, curiously, we get the beast animal forms, I guess that's what you call them, from the ToQger movie, where they briefly change into these animal forms. And then, much to my dismay, we are getting line shifts of all the Ranger keys. And this is where it is becoming a problem for me. Why do we need a line shift of the Red Ranger with the number 4 on his chest? Why do we need a line shift of the Pink Ranger with the number 1 on her chest? Why do we need these keys? The line shifts, other than liberating the Shadow Towns, serve absolutely no purpose within the series other than it looks cool. As I've stated in previous videos, it serves no tactical advantage. It doesn't give them powers they wouldn't normally have. All they do is they have access to the weapons of the other Rangers, which they could they could just do what they could do without having to do a line shift by just handing the other person their weapon. Why do you need to go through a line shift when all you gotta do is just say, hey, here, take my weapon? Again, their only tactical function is for the Shadow Towns, but I will remind you, the Shadow Towns did not start appearing until halfway through the season, and of course, they've only been there a handful of times. But I digress. But for some reason, Bandai feels that we need a line shift of the Yellow Ranger with the number 5 on her chest. Why? Why, I ask you? Why do we need that? And then we even have the keys from that episode where they go to the college and the monster gives them all zeros. So, we have the Red Ranger with the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on his chest, but we also have it with the 0 on his chest and a negative 100 on his chest. Why? Why do we specifically need those keys? Why do we need to have what that joke of the negative 100 is from a singular episode and that lasts all of 60 seconds? It's not even a major plot point in that particular episode. So why does a key need to be made of that? Now I can get I get the idea of, first of all, you need the basic set of the 7 keys. Fine, no problem there. Then you have the movie keys. Okay, the one where the Pink Ranger's dressed up as the panda. Okay, that's cute. I'll let that those 5 keys slide for that alone. The black version and the rainbow version. Okay, I can see that. That's something special. The textures are a little bit different. They're sparkle glitter on the inside. Perfectly fine. But what I don't see is why we're spending all this time making all 5 of the core Rangers with different numbers on their chests. And then we even have our 6th Ranger, who has been established in the series to not do a line change, now has the number 1 on his chest. I can only assume this is something from an episode I have not seen, but I don't see the point in having it. And, here's another thing too. Okay, so the set of the Lost Ranger Edition keys, that's $12, or that's 12 keys that we have in that set total, roughly equaling out to about $120 American, so about $9 a key. Kind of expensive when you break it down that format. We have these Rainbow Edition keys, which is 40, and of course that is a whopping $250 right there, American, and breaks down to about $625 a key, which is a more reasonable price. But I ask you, why do we need line shift Ranger keys? What is the purpose in having those? And it's not even really a price thing. First of all, I'm kind of outraged by the price that you're going to charge us $250 for 40 keys, many of which the only difference is what number is on their chest and on their visor. Because, and let me go off real quick here about the actual keys themselves, because I felt this was a cheat within the series, and now they're making a cheat with the toy line. So again, I've said this before, but I'm going to say again. You have 2 Shinken Red keys. You have the regular key, the male version, and you have the princess key, the female version. If Captain Marvelous uses the red key, or the male key, he turns in to Shinken Red with no skirt. Okay. He throws that key away. He uses the princess key. What does he turn to? Shinken Red with no skirt. Because it changes whether you're male or female. The key is a cheat. The fact they made a princess key serves no purpose because it's the exact same power set duplicated. So if you gave Luca and the princess, you gave them both Shinken Red keys, they both become female versions of the exact same Ranger. And do you see the problem here? If we apply the logic to the rainbow line keys here, that basically means that every Gokaiger can turn into a version of the Blue Ranger. You have 5 Blue Rangers on a team. Yes, it was used as a tactical advantage in Power Rangers in Space and Mega Ranger to fool the Psychos, but what tactical advantage do you have for being 5 Blue Rangers, or 5 Pink Rangers, or 5 Green Rangers? Yes, when they did it in Gokaiger, they had one from a different season, so it was a cool thing to see 6 different Rangers. Is it really cool to see 5 of the exact same Green Rangers? And again, what purpose does that serve within the context of what the keys do? Transform you into other Rangers. So even if you take the keys themselves, the line shift is a gimmick that really wore out its welcome and does nothing in practical sense. Again, other than Shadow Towns, I will admit that. But once Tokuger is over, there are no more Shadow Towns, so the purpose of the line shift has lost all purpose, basically. And it's just confusing to me. Okay, but here's the real problem I have with it. And I keep going on tangents because there's really a lot to say about this. But here's the thing. Basically, what we've done is we have come up with 40 keys, many of which are repeats with slight cosmetic differences in them. When what we should have been doing is going back and releasing DX versions of Gashapon keys. Okay, here's what I mean by this. And I talked about this extensively in episode 112. I don't like the idea that I can get my ace spade key as a deluxe key, but I have to get my Clover King, Diamond Jack, Big One, and Heart Queen as Gashapon or Candy Toys, where I have to apply stickers. What I suggested back then is they release those keys, but make them deluxe keys. So why is it here that we have the Red Ranger with the 2, 3, 4, and 5 on his chest when we could have released Jacka keys that are deluxe keys? Why didn't we do that? Why do we have to have what I feel are imperfect keys because they're stickers and stickers wear off, and really because you're putting something that's a straight surface on something that's a curved surface, and the ones I do have there, Gashapon, look terrible in comparison, when you could just go back and fix those problems and release deluxe keys for your fans and collectors. And don't say that this is for children, because both the Lost Edition and Rainbow Edition are in a price range that no child in Japan or America can afford, and is being released on the website called Premium Bandai, which is geared towards adults and older audiences for collector's value. So what is the value in having your Pink Ranger with the number 2 on her chest? I really don't see the collector's value in it. But I see a collector's value in Dyna Black as a deluxe key. But why aren't we getting the Dyna Black deluxe key? And frankly, this is actually also another thing that's happened is we did get a Kyryuger release of keys. Now, I did have a little bit of issues with that, but I kind of let them slide. Something I didn't really talk about previously was the DeBoss Ranger key set. Why did we need a DeBoss Ranger key set? I mean, seriously, why? Is there going to be a time in the future where the Gokaiger take the DeBoss keys and turn into our villains? I doubt it. And again, Ranger keys are Ranger keys. The DeBoss are not Rangers, unless you count D, but again, they have both D as the bad guy and Q Navy. Here's what I'm ultimately getting at. I think Bandai is wasting our time and wasting our money and wasting our patience on making keys that really don't need to exist. We don't need a Hurricane Dark key. We don't need a -100 Red Ranger key. We don't need line shifts of all these other Rangers. And we don't need the Rangers with 0 grades from a singular episode where it lasts 60 seconds within that episode. So I don't understand why they're doing this. Yes, 40 keys, that's great. But half those keys are superfluous. Actually, only a third of those keys are worth having. I mean, frankly, when you look at it, the only keys you really want are the 7 Ranger keys, maybe those 2 special keys, and then, of course, the movie keys. So that's about 14 keys. Yeah, that is less than half. I mean, that's like, oh yeah, that's just a little over a quarter of the keys that you would actually want. Who out there is asking for, I want a key from that singular episode where he was -100? And yes, I understand that the Lost Key Edition site is made to be like, oh yeah, these Rangers who only appeared in 1 episode. But you know what? Here's the difference. Dika Gold, who only appeared for a brief 10 seconds on screen, didn't even have a physical costume, was a computer-generated image, was a character. Dika Gold was a character. She was somebody who was actually connected to a person. Dika Gold is not a Ranger, it is a person with a power set. The -100 is a gimmick. It's not an actual person or anything special. -100 is a tactic the monster used to try to get into the head of Right. So again, you're making keys based on nothing. It's like they said you need to make 40 keys in this release. Do whatever you want. And they made these keys that really, I don't know why anybody would want them. And again, they kind of did this with Kyryuger. They made both a male and female version, but at least in those they were colored different, because the Ramirez key, of course, had the bronze on it, and of course, the Yuko key, she had yellow on it, and she had the skirt. So you had the 2 different cyans, being passed down. But here, it's not like, I mean, I don't see a circumstance where the Gokaiger come back into the future and they say, I want that negative 100 key, or I want the Yellow Ranger, but I want the number 5 version of the Yellow Ranger. I mean, can you see them doing that? And again, what is the purpose of that? And again, just like the DeBoss keys, what is the purpose of the DeBoss keys? Yeah, you can charge $200 for them and people will go ahead and buy them, but they're probably buying it just to get the actual Ranger key that came in there. Because I don't know where people are saying, yeah, I want a Canderella Ranger key because that's what my collection is missing, a Canderella Ranger key. It's just there are better keys that they can make. I mean, what they should be doing again. Go back, look at all the keys you did not make deluxe editions for, and trust me, there are a lot of them. Again, any key that's not a Red Ranger key prior to Gal Ranger, is going to go ahead and be a Gashapon or Candy Toy key. Why don't they go back and they actually make deluxe versions of those? I mean, do you have any idea how well, if you could get, like, say, the first 10 years of Sentai in a Ranger key set, and every single one of them is a deluxe key? Or better yet, because of the scarcity of Ranger keys and just how wildly you guys release them, why not release whole sets? Again, I mean, again, it's easy to find a whole Gal Ranger set. That's not in dispute. It's easy to find a whole Go Ranger set. That is not in dispute. It's easy to find a Go Buster set, which you also released. But you can't find a whole set of Dynaman. You can't find a whole set of Jacka. You can't find a whole set of Bioman. They are scattered, bits and pieces everywhere. You have to order this. You have to order that. You got to go to Japan and get that particular product. And actually, that's another thing. This thing is only available in Japan. I mean, I feel very lucky that I'm actually over here and I can get these keys. I mean, I am surprised that I'm able to do that right now. But I honestly feel bad for all you guys. I feel bad for Raptor and I feel bad for Edargo back in the States. They can't get those keys unless they get them through me. And that's a horrible thing. You can't even get them in America because then you have to go on the eBay and get paid, 3 times the price from some damn scalper. But that is something else entirely. So what I'm trying to go ahead and say here is that, again, a waste of time, money, and patience. Why do we need all these keys in the Rainbow Edition? Why do we need keys like Hurricane Dark in the Lost Edition? Why can't they come out with keys that are actually viable, keys that we would want? Past Ranger keys. And actually, here's an idea. Why don't we come out with Ranger keys of Power Ranger keys? Huh? Let's do the Spirit Rangers. Why don't we do the Phantom Ranger key? That would definitely sell with people. Why don't we do the Titanium Ranger key? True, you can say that only American audiences would be interested in it, but why not market it to Americans? Make it available for them. And even in Japan, people would want it because they have no idea who a Titanium Ranger is. Do you know how interested they would be for... I mean, if they're going to be interested in a key where the Red Ranger is wearing a skirt, then I think they're going to be interested in a key of a Ranger from Go-Go 5 who didn't actually exist in Go-Go 5. And I think the one other thing that really kind of bothers me, and this is kind of looking forward, because here's where I'm going to get into speculation, folks. I think this is going to set a dangerous precedent moving forward on what we're going to do with the format of Rangers. And here's what I mean. So, we have Kyoryuger. Kyoryuger had 11 Rangers in there, and they were able to milk those keys in there completely. We have Tokyuger, and they are definitely milking those keys. Thus far, in Ninja, from everything I've seen, we only have 6 Rangers. No crazy variations, no color changes, or anything like that. We just have 6 Rangers. So when they come out with the Ninja set, I expect there only to be 6 keys. Unless they do something crazy here towards the end. But what that's telling me is for future teams, talking about the 40th Sentai and above, is that they can go crazy with any damn thing and turn it into a key. And let's say that those rumors about the 40th Sentai being animals is 100% true. And what if they go the same route that they did for Gal Ranger, the 100 beast animals? What if they literally come out with 100 different beasts and they make computer generated images of rangers in the background? Well, then they have the right at that point to make all these keys of rangers that briefly show up on screen for a second. Or what if they actually have something similar to a line change in this 40th Sentai, where they can change colors and change animals between rangers? So, say the Red Ranger is a lion and the Green Ranger is a shark. Well, then the Red Ranger can be a red shark and the Green Ranger can be a green lion. You know they're going to make a Ranger key out of that. What scares me in this is that they're going to give them rights to do whatever they want so they can eventually sell a Ranger key or even a toy line at that particular time just to sell it as opposed to making anything worth having. Do you guys see where I'm going with this? Because if you can justify having a negative 100 Ranger in the Rainbow Edition, and you can justify having a Hurricane Dark in the Lost Edition, then it's going to give them, or even the DeBoss. How do you justify a DeBoss Ranger key set? My point is, if you can justify those things in your mind to sell them, and people buy them, then we're telling Bandai, yeah, we don't care what Ranger keys you give us, just give us Ranger keys. And that means we're never going to be able to go back to the previous sets and get the ones that we want. And what's even scarier is apparently I've actually been reading comments how people want certain past sets but with their alternate versions. For example, people want a powerless Turbo Ranger set. They want the Psycho Ranger set. They want the Neo Jetman set. They want all these different other sets of Rangers. And what I feel that that's going to cause is they will release something like that one day. But why have them? Why do you want a powerless Turbo Ranger set? Why not just a Turbo Ranger set? Why does it have to be this powerless set where everybody lost their powers and they're all white costumes? Why not just have the actual? Why not have a deluxe version of all the Rangers? I'm not seeing where this is going. I mean, heck, at least the Megazord keys has value in them because they're freaking Megazords. That's freaking awesome. The Buddy Roid keys had value to them because they're Buddy Roids and they actually serve a purpose within the story. I just think that we're going to go down a slippery slope in where we're going to get useless Ranger keys, shell out our money to Bandai, and they don't understand what keys we actually want, and they're going to make these crappy keys. I mean, okay, crappy is maybe too strong a word. They're going to make these useless keys, and then it's going to give free reign to the producers to make any slight alteration to a Ranger, and then suddenly we have a key based on it. I mean, we can have you can have an episode of Ninja where the Red Ranger switches helmets with the Yellow Ranger, and suddenly, bam! That is a new key we're going to have in the Ninja set, where that one episode where they switched helmets. That's not key worth having in my mind. Keys worth having are the core Rangers, are the Rangers who appeared briefly, who actually did something to the story. I mean, X1 Mask, he is a character. He is important to the mythos of Mask Man. You have Dika Bright, who is also important to Dika Ranger. And heck, the Dobotsu Sentai Go Buster, they are important. I mean, their story is a tragedy when you think about it, but they're worth having. That Black Puma may be the laziest costume you've ever seen in a V-Cinema release, but it's still a person who had significance. The time that Wright got a negative 100, or the time that Mio took Wright's Morpher and became a Red Ranger, that's not significant enough for a key. I really don't believe that. And I just think that we're going to go in the wrong direction of these keys instead of the direction we need to go, which is releasing every single core Ranger in the series that, had a morph, had a Zord, whatever and stuff, and release them as deluxe keys. Because again, I could collect the Gashapon, the candy toy keys. I can really do that. But you know what? Why not just make it easier for me and make the deluxe keys? Why not release that for everybody? Say, you know what, guys? We're sorry we made it so difficult for you to get keys. Here's the Jacka set. Here's the Bioman set. Here's the Flashman set. Here's the Jetman set. Do you know how well a Jetman Zoo Ranger set would do? But again, that's getting off on another subject there. Okay, I'd like to think that I made my point clear to you guys. again, I bought both of these. I really did. I pre-ordered both of them. The Lost set will come in December, and the Rainbow edition will come in March. So yes, am I feeding into the system? Of course, but I still want the Tokuja Ranger keys, right? Nothing wrong with that. But the fact that I have to pay all this money for keys that don't matter, I don't know. Maybe I'll put the negative 100 up on eBay and see how much I can sell it for. I don't know. But the point is, I'm getting the Ranger keys. I hope they come out with more keys, but I want them to be smart about what keys they're going to release in the future. I want to see past keys that were only, Gashapon keys, whatever and stuff, released as DX keys. And I know for a fact, Raptor, I know you're listening to this. I know you want a Gokai Christmas key. There's a deluxe key because yeah, I gave you the one with the sticker and all that, but I know you'd pay good money to have an actual DX key of that. For as superfluous as Gokai Christmas is, I can at least get behind having that as a justifiable key, as opposed to, again, and I know I keep harping on this because this is still the stupidest key I've heard of, is the negative 100 the Red Ranger. Okay, you guys see my point there. So I know this turned into a rant. I know it turned into a ramble, but I just get passionate about these things. And anybody who watches Sentai and lacks passion is not a person that I want to be with. I want somebody who is passionate about these things. That's why I'm passionate about Ranger Keys. That's why I'm passionate in my hate of RPM. That is why I am passionate in my new appreciation for Dino Charge. That's why I'm passionate in my love for the character of Trini from Power Rangers. You have to have passion. This is my passion on the Ranger Keys, and that is all I have to go ahead and say. So, but I want to know what you guys think. Honestly, what do you think of the Rainbow Edition? What do you think of the Lost Edition? What do you think they're going to do with past keys? What do you want to see them do with new keys? Do you think these keys are superfluous, or do you think that there is a purpose to them? Leave a comment below. Let me know. Otherwise, I want to thank you all for listening. Have a good evening, and the tavern is now closed.